have breaking news in the entertainment world, some concerning news in my opinion. And this is coming via The Hollywood Reporter, although you can read on other sites as well. But I'm just going to go ahead and read this article, a little bit of it, and share my thoughts and my concerns about it. But James Bond shakeup. Amazon takes creative control of franchise from Broccoli family in new deal. It goes on to say the James Bond movie franchise has gotten a shakeup with Amazon, MGM Studios, and Michael G. Wilson and Barbara Broccoli forming a new joint venture to house the movie property's intellectual property rights. In terms of the agreement, Amazon, MGM Studios will gain creative control of the James Bond franchise, while Wilson and Broccoli remain co-owners of the 60-year-old property. You know, basically as a face, a facade for it, if you will. You know, sit back, shut up, you know, collect your money, that kind of thing. I mean, I'm reading between the lines, Chad. That's exactly what's going to happen. In 2022, Amazon acquired MGM, including a vast catalog with more than 4,000 films and 17,000 TV shows. Since the MGM acquisition, Amazon held rights to distribute all the James Bond films, and following completion of the joint venture, transaction will control the creative on future productions. And they made a statement, yada, 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 talking about the future of the franchise. News of joint venture comes amid continuing speculation about Bond 26, next iteration of the 007 franchise. Actor Daniel Craig hung up the tuxedo for good. I mean, yeah, they killed him in 2021's No Time to Die. Barbara Broccoli echoed that it was time for her to step aside and allow Amazon MGM Studios to take over the creative reins. My life has been dedicated to maintaining and building upon the extraordinary legacy that was handed to Michael and me by our father, producer Cubby Broccoli. I've had the honor of working closely with 4 of the tremendously talented actors who have played 007 and thousands of wonderful artists within the industry. With the conclusion of No Time to Die and Mike returning from the films, I feel it is time to focus on my other projects, Broccoli said. And of course, this is after just a couple of months ago where the Broccoli's themselves were saying Amazon doesn't know what they're doing with the franchise. So then it's just like this change of tune, I think, is very suspect. And what happened is this is like, here is the most money we could possibly give you, which is probably a lot. Sit down, shut the fuck up, keep collecting checks. We're going to go ahead and do what we will with this property now. So before I get even to my overall concerns, just talking about the James Bond franchise in general, I am a fan of James Bond. I grew up watching these movies with my dad back in the day, watching them on cable, renting them from Blockbuster, watching them VHS, especially the Connery era and the Roger Moore era. I remember seeing a lot of the Pierce Brosnan films when they're still coming out in theaters, of course. You know, we all have our favorite James Bonds, obviously. You know, for me, my favorites are definitely Connery, Moore, and Brosnan, to be perfectly honest. That's not to say there haven't been, some good Daniel Craig films. I think Casino Royale was a nice return to form for the franchise. Although, I think the films afterwards, aside from Skyfall, which I thought was fantastic and might be my favorite of the Craig era, I think the rest of those movies were kind of piss poor, to be completely honest. And I think the most recent James Bond movie was just a flawed, overlong slog that was punctuated by a couple of good things. And I think that there's just this general view from the people who have been in creative control of Bond for a while of like, what do we do with this property? Like, even they themselves don't seem to know. And insisting on making James Bond a character of the 21st century, of making him a character for modern audiences. You could see that creeping into the character over the last couple of films, and I feel like that's hurt the brand property, and it's kind of put them in a point of stagnation. They don't know what to do. And what Amazon, their whole thing is with this property is like, we want to do spin-offs and streaming shows. I mean, that's what this inevitably is going to happen. That's what's going to happen with this property is you're going to have Amazon come in there, and they're gonna obviously do a film, and maybe even and then do various spin-off films. So, you're going to get 006, I bet. You're going to get the Q origin story. You're going to get James Bond Jr., the prequel series where James Bond was a teenager, and they'll have it be a limited miniseries. That's inevitably what's going to happen. And I think, I and others are justifiably concerned because I feel like this is going to be the continued watered-down versions of James Bond. And that to me is really concerning. Where I already feel like the last couple of movies have really hurt the character. So yeah, I've said for the longest time, like, what I would ideally like for Bond is them to make it a period piece again. I think that would be really cool to set these movies in like the 60s or 70s, or hell, if you want to go back to the 50s, feel free to do that. I think that'd be really cool to do like a Bond post World War II, type of story. That'd be really interesting, like during the heights of the Cold War. That's what I would like. Just the aesthetics and things and the political intrigue of the time. That's what I would love to see done with the property. I doubt that's what's going to happen now. I think we're going to get the Miss Moneypenny origin story. I think that's exactly what's going to happen. And just going to water down the brand. It's going to water down the character and try to make him more accessible. They're going to continue to sand down the edges of James Bond, where I feel like those edges shouldn't be sanded down. They should be embraced. They should embrace James Bond's flaws. I think that would be kind of cool to display on screen again, but I just don't think that's going to happen now. And I think it's very concerning, But at the same time, again, like the Broccoli family seemed to not know what they were doing for the last couple of years with the James Bond character. It's like Casino Royale, which is crazy. That movie came out in 2006. That movie's going to be 20 years old now. That's fucking nuts. The movie's going to be 20 years old next year. And it was such a fresh new take on James Bond. It was a punch in the arm what the franchise needed. And they immediately followed it up with Quantum of Solace, which was, in my opinion, a huge turd. And also a victim of the writer's strike at the time, too. They were literally shooting without a script. But then they seemed to course correct with Skyfall, which I thought was fantastic. But then the last two James Bond movies, I thought they were very, very disappointing. Spectre was really bad, and No Time to Die, I just have no affection for that movie. It's punctuated by some good things, some good moments. Ana de Armas, I thought, was great in the film. She was like, oh my god, we needed her throughout the movie. She's in it briefly, too brief in my opinion, but I was like, oh, this is great. But then it was just Daniel Craig clearly just wasn't. I mean, that's the other thing that's bothered me too. I think just about the James Bond franchise recently is Daniel Craig's just dismissiveness and apathy and just kind of like sour attitude towards it all. That really, really bothered me, especially as a James Bond fan. It's like, this made your fucking career, dude. All right, so stop, sticking your nose up at it. He's acted like a dick in regards to the franchise for a while. And listen, I know they're hard. I know they're physically tolling and things, right? But they gave you a lot of fucking money to play this character, and it made your career. So at least show a little appreciation. So that also just kind of turned me off to him as Bond. Not to say that he didn't make some good Bond movies. I think Casino Royale was great and Skyfall was great, but I definitely hold Connery and Moore and Brosnan higher steam than him and his take on Bond. So yeah, it's like it just feels like there has been no movement on James Bond for a while, and that's been frustrating. And now there's definitely going to be a lot of movement, but personally, I could be proven wrong. Like, listen, I don't mind eating humble pie, big slice humble pie. You're eating crow. It's like, prove me wrong, but I have a lot of misgivings about this. I'm very, very concerned. But what about you guys? What do you think of this story of Amazon? I mean, they already owned it, obviously, but taking full creative control of James Bond and most likely pursuing multiple James Bond projects and spinoffs and, the Miss Moneypenny, childhood YA TV series will be getting. What are your thoughts on that? Let's see. Very curious. Q, research and development, a wacky office comedy about the gadgets departments of MI6. I can see them do that. Do little shorts or something. All Bond actors in Avenger-style team movie. Yeah, well, they're going to use AI. They'll do that. They'll just contact the Connery estate and the Moore estate. Curse, I'd rather franchise take its time, rebuild excitement, figure out the best possible way they can make rather than just shovel movies and shows through a pipeline, regardless of whether or not it's fully cooked. Yeah, no, I agree. It sounds like not fun to make. What, No Time to Die? Yeah, he was so over it. Yeah, he really was. And he felt like he was over it by Quantum of Solace. Like, he wanted nothing to do with James Bond. No time was necessary. Plus, it was a way for Daniel Craig to. Yeah, I mean, he said, "Can you kill me, please?" And they're like, "Yeah, we can kill you." Even like when he died, I felt nothing. I was like, all right. Like watching that film in the theater, I was like, okay, at least it's over. GoldenEye prequel incoming. How did Alec Trevelyan become a traitor? You didn't ask, but we're answering. I mean, I think they'll do an Alec. You joke, Bat Boy, but I think they'll do a 006 series or a 006 movie with Alec Trevelyan. Sure. Yeah, why not? 4K, the only Craig Bond movie I seen was Casino Royale. I thought it was pretty good. Casino Royale is great. It's really, really good. I recommend checking out Skyfall. Those are the only two. The rest you can just kind of throw in the trash, in my opinion. Oh, yeah, Craig is no longer part of such a rock movie. Oh, really? What happened? Did he drop out? Interesting. I'm kind of skeptical of Amazon taking control of Bond. Amazon can be a big hit or miss. Oh, 100%. 100%. Amazon's going to milk the shit out of it. Yep. I mean, that's what's going to happen. I mean, that's inevitable. I mean, episode that explains Xenia Onatop's thighs. Oh, that wasn't a thought. Too bad. Bitch isn't happening. Anyway, that'd be amazing. That'd be so hot. Xenia Onatop was a great henchwoman. Great henchwoman. Scheduling conflicts. Maybe Daniel Craig didn't want to be just known as James Bond. I mean, that's fine. But, I mean, then why choose to be James Bond? You know? And then just, act like you got a stick up your butt for the next, 4 movies. It's kind of crazy. I remember walking out of this movie, some guy in the theater who was pissed yelled, James Bond doesn't die. I'm not even, the thing is, I'm not against, doing an actor doing a 10-year of Bond and then, killing off the character. And, that doesn't bother me. It's just by that point, I don't think that movie's very good. And so I didn't think that death was earned at all. I just thought it was fucking ridiculous. And then nanomachines. And then you had what's his name, Mr. Robot, Rami Malek. I think I like less and less and less as an actor as he goes along. He's the worst villain in the Craig era, which is saying something. So, I'm not bothered by Bond dying. I just feel like how they handled it was really sloppy. I was like, I don't really give a shit. And by that point, I was like, all right, get out of here, Daniel Craig. Maybe we can bring back Pussy Galore. Obviously, kid. No, I would love that. Let's do it. I was wondering if. Because one of the things they might do, they might do remakes of the original, James Bond films. They might do Dr. No, like a modern era Dr. No, or From Russia with Love, or, Goldfinger. I wouldn't be shocked if they might be considering stuff like that, to be perfectly honest. But yeah, I don't really feel, I haven't been happy. I haven't been satisfied as a Bond fan, honestly, since, when did Skyfall come out? 2012? So for over a decade, I just feel like this property just has not been treated very well. And you had an actor who was not appreciative of what he was given, which I think soured it. That was pretty shitty. And to be fair, I don't think the Broccoli's really knew what they were doing either. So, this whole situation, I think, just for a while was shit. I mean, you had all the stuff coming out that the Broccoli's didn't like what Amazon was proposing either. And then to suddenly change their tune, it's just it's what's going to, inevitably, no matter what you feel, I just feel like, as Deadpool pointed out, as you guys are clearly pointing out, they're going to milk this property dry. They're going to do all these, they're going to dilute it even more. And I already feel like it's pretty diluted. And that's disappointing. That's disappointing. So, but yeah, let me see what else you guys are saying. Insert Bond into Rings of Power and play it straight. Oh, man. I don't know about that. Or an equivalent, the same level of quality. Oof. No, thank you. Goldfinger means Bubba Hotep. It takes place at a nursing home for retired operatives. That'd be crazy. I get it, because when you're tired of franchise, you can't always do the projects you want to do because they need you on standby for whatever they're going to have the next one. And now that he's done, he can go off and do whatever. I mean, sure. But at least, show some appreciation for the career that you have, because he wouldn't have had a career without these films. He would not be where he is without James Bond. It's just kind of crazy. So I don't know. It just rubbed me the wrong way as a fan of James Bond for all these years. It's the idea that it's the snootiness. It's the pretentiousness. It's like, I'm better than this. I'm better than this character. And that always was wafting off of Craig. Pretty much everything post Casino Royale. And I was like, didn't like that. Didn't like that at all. And it's just kind of just, colored my perception of him as an actor. I was like, I'm just not really a big Daniel Craig fan anymore, to be perfectly honest. And so to hear that he left Sergeant Rock, I'm kind of like, that's good. That's good. That's fine. He can just play Detective Colonel Sanders in those Rian Johnson movies. He wants to be a Southern detective that sells fried chicken on the side. Please go ahead and do just that, Daniel Craig. That's fine. We'll find someone better. It won't be difficult. Let's see. Guaranteed the villain will be the Elon Musk. I know. Yeah. So what? In the next Rian Johnson, what do they call them? Knives Out movies. Like, okay, who is he going to focus on now? Who's going to be the one that's going to receive his political ire? Let's bring back Timmy Dalton as an older version of Bond. Get him that third film. Give him that third film. Right. Bond doctoring this time with a real Asian actor. All respect to Wiseman. He played that character well. Still very 60s era casting of an Asian villain. Oh, sure. All Daniel Craig was known was his role in Layer Cake. Exactly. That's it. He's James Bond in that. It's like, that guy should play James Bond. Oh, Christ. Make him the voice of Foghorn Leghorn. Dude. They should. Now, if I was Warner Brothers, although, they have such a resentment towards animation right now, but if I were to ever do like something with Foghorn Leghorn, I would absolutely get Daniel Craig, because that's literally his voice in those movies. So, oh man, probably legit looks like it's taking place mainly at a church and a graveyard. Okay, fair enough. Oh, there you go. Pruitt Taylor Vince for James Bond. Yeah, I guess who do we want to play James Bond? That name does not ring a bell for me, personally. But I'll check him out. See what he looks like. Yeah, this guy. Let's go with him. This guy that's playing Pa Kent. You know what? At this point, let's fucking go. Let's do it. I'm all for it. I want Pruitt Taylor Vince as the next James Bond, chat. All right? Mm-hmm. But he needs to be like Cockney James Bond. I want like a thick accent and Cockney James Bond. He doesn't order vodka martini, shaken, not stirred. No, he orders goddamn fried fish. That's what he orders, chat. Fish and chips. When he goes up to the bartender, that's what he orders. Give me a fucking full plate. That would be wonderful. That'd be good. Let's do it. Oh, man. Let's see here. Mike Myers, James Bond. Oh, wait. He could be cute. Shaped like a whole cute. Damn. So mean. All he says is, governor. Yeah, well, definitely. 100%. What about Terrence Howard as Bond? Yeah, no, he'd be a fucking supervillain. Terrence Howard, I would not cast Terrence Howard as Bond. He would be the villain that Bond would have to go up against, because Terrence Howard talks like a goddamn supervillain. Talking about how he creates what's the thing he's going on about? I'm going to create a new form of air or water or some shit. Sounds crazy. Oh my god. Dan DeVito as Bond. Dan DeVito should be cast as everything. Yeah, why are we casting Paul Kent as Bond? I think Bill Murray was being a little cheeky. He's being funny, because I didn't recognize the name. I was like, who is this? I've said for a long time, I think Richard Madden would make a great Bond. Of course, Richard Madden is probably best known for playing Robb Stark in Game of Thrones. I think he can do it. I think he has the right look for it. I wouldn't mind him. I mean, obviously, people for years have wanted Idris Elba. At this point, I would just like to do like a one-off of Idris Elba. I think that would have been really cool, because they were looking to get like a guy who was young, so they can have him around and do like 20 years worth of films or whatever, right? To do however many, and Idris Elba's now in his 50s, but, in that interim period, like, of them not knowing what the fuck to do, I think you could have done, like, all right, listen, we're going to give you your Idris Elba James Bond movie, but it's going to be a standalone film. It's going to be a one and done with him. But that's what they could have done. I think that would have been really interesting. It would have freed them up to do something different with the character, too. You could have done that. But, yeah, Richard Madden would be probably my number one choice. I think he would pull it off pretty well. Wouldn't mind that. Peter Dinklage's Bond? Yeah, I'll go with that. That show. That works. That tracks. I'm aboard the Alba train. I still am too. It's like if they just want to do like a movie or two with him, fill him back to back, cool. Let's just do that. He can handle all that action stuff. He was great in the Suicide Squad. I was like, yep, I bought him in all those scenes. That looked really good. So if they want to do that with him, let's fucking go.